Have you ever had the notion that you could run on 100% all the time, or skate through life without slowing down? Perhaps the real path to unlocking our hidden potential requires us to take a step back every now and then and take a much-needed breath. Welcome back to Limitless. Today we're talking about an extremely crucial part, but also a very forgotten aspect of unlocking our hidden potential, and that is forgiveness and self-care. I like what Anne Lamott said. Everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. Everything you do, all moments of the day, are taking some kind of toll on the body. Breathing, resting, even relaxing, you're resisting gravity, you're metabolizing. And all of this has a certain form of upkeep that it needs. Things are always going on, regardless of how much effort you think you're putting into the moment. And all those moments truly take a little bit of time, at least a little bit of upkeep, to replenish ourselves. Even psychological events. As much as we think that it's not physical, it's not material, it shouldn't matter. But psychological events also take time to integrate themselves. So we need to give ourselves this time. This is self-care. The real essence of self-care, I believe, is finding that inner parent. We've seen that parent in action. We've seen the love that they can bring to the moment, the understanding, the tenderness. Well, this is what we need to bring to our bodies and our minds, viewing them as our own children, loving them, allowing them to be exactly who and what they are. Force is not required in these moments. In fact, force will harm that process. So only time, real presence in that time, and real care is needed. A lot of people in this world today think self-care is a luxury, something that when you have a vacation or enough money, then you can focus on self-care. This is not true. Self-care is essential for our baseline health, and I'll show you how. We've all heard of stress. We've even talked about it on this show. What are the effects of stress? Most people in developed countries experience stress. In fact, 3/4 of American citizens say they experience stress every single month. 1/3 of Americans say they experience extreme stress. And the leading cause of this stress is seen as money and work. Going even deeper, workplace stress costs $300 billion a year in healthcare annually in the US alone. Roughly half the population says that they experience restlessness, staying up at night, not being able to sleep simply because of how stressed they are. And this has led to roughly 50 million prescriptions in 2008 being filled for sleeping pills like Ambien, or $600 million being spent on things like melatonin or valerian root just to help people try to get back to center, just so they can sleep and face another day of work. This is how stressful it's becoming. In fact, in very real terms, stress and not being able to recover from burnout has reached epidemic levels in the US and the UK. But this is the world we live in. This is 21st century normal. We can't avoid this economic rat race. It's inevitable, right? Well, what I aim to show you is that there are ways that we can alleviate stress and still stay just as productive. There are very simple hacks or tools, and then there are very involved hacks and tools, and I'll share both with you. But these tools are meant to be seamlessly integrated into your day. So this first method that we're going to show you is very simple, very easy, and it creates a chemistry shift in your body that is very similar to that which, if you were ever held or coddled and nurtured as a little child, those chemicals that flooded through your body back then are the same that this self-care routine will help your body get back to. But I won't be showing it to you. It'll be Dr. Mario Martinez in an episode of Inspirations with Lisa Gar called Rewriting the Genetic Code.
I had a Tibetan Lama teacher who taught me the technique. It's in their world is moving the chi, moving the energy around. In our world, you're actually creating immunity and you're creating some kinds of changes in your endocrine system. So we have a lot to learn from their ways, and they have a lot to learn from us too. We've taught them what we can do with functional MRIs and how the brain shifts and all that. But basically, what they're doing is they're moving, creating what they call chi. Put your hands like this, and you're creating a sense of cohesiveness, and you could call it chi. It doesn't matter. You do this for a few minutes, and then what you do is you put your arms gently over your shoulders, crossed, and then go forward 9 times, and you're going to begin to feel some movement, some warmth, and then you, after 9, 10 times, then you go backwards, that, and then after you finish, you stop and then feel what's happened. Feel what's happened with you. You feel some energy change. Now, what have you done psychoneurologically? First, you created a placebo effect. This is something that's going to work. Second, the touching releases some oxytocin and all kinds of other things that are going on. You're beginning to feel the effect of when your grandmother touched you and loved you. And so all of that has a healing effect. Psychoneurologically has a healing effect. But the Tibetans know how to do it, but they don't know the biochemistry behind it.
Right.
And you do it, and it works. And there's a method that I teach. It's not just an intellectual process. You have to find out what wound it caused. Because across cultures, I found that there are 3 wounds. I call them archetypal wounds because you see them in every culture.
Okay.
Shame, abandonment, and betrayal.
Okay.
So you have to find out if somebody was predatory with you, what did they do? Did they abandon you? Did they betray you? Or did they shame you? And each of them has a different biochemical process. Shame has a lot of inflammatory. Many of autoimmune illnesses have some kind of shame trauma.
So what I gather from this is we are the medicine. The medicine is within us. As if there's a pharmaceutical dealer inside of us that every time we decide to show shame, guilt, fear, anxiety, that there's a unique chemical cocktail that it will produce and flood through the system, setting off biological processes that are hazardous to our body and our mind. And truthfully, self-care is a feminine quality. It's very receptive. You're listening to your body. You're allowing your body to express itself the way that it wants to, not conditioned by culture or society, but simply being what it wishes to be in the moment. And you're listening to that. That's the feminine quality of it. One aspect of this is being able to take a little bit of time away from work or the stressors in your life to be able to gain some perspective, put things in a perspective so you can understand, what is this all in service to? Why am I working so hard to begin with? This is very important. And also, a very crucial aspect to self-care is being able to ask very relevant, poignant questions, but then being silent enough, patient enough, inquisitive enough to listen for how your body might respond. Because you can't assume that you know how your body speaks. We've gotten into this in this series before. So what we're doing to enter into a deeper relationship with our body so we can bring it the love and nurturing that it needs is to ask relevant questions. What do you need? What's happening inside you right now? What can I do for you? And then once you ask those questions, giving yourself the space, the time, and the silence to be able to listen for how your body might respond. Here's one way to put this into action immediately. I think it's the quickest, fastest biohacking tool you will ever find, and it changes your chemistry within minutes. It's a simple smile. If you smile in the mirror for a couple minutes, it will change your chemistry. You will feel happier. But it may not be that easy to see at first. You may have to really try. So this is where you put that listening into action. You give yourself a smile. You smile in that mirror. Try and make it as authentic as possible. Think of things that make you happy, make you feel content and fulfilled. Smile, and then listen for how the body responds to that little self-care routine. And if you think you can't smile, it's too hard, the stressors of the day are too much, then I invite you to take into consideration what Thich Nhat Hanh said. He said, sometimes your joy is the source of your smile, but sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy. Now I'm going to move on to the next self-care routine, and I believe this is probably the most important self-care routine you can abide by, and it's forgiveness. So to put forgiveness into a better context, better than I could, I'll throw it off to Stefan and Andrea Levine on an episode of Omega called Relationship, a Pathway to Self-Discovery.
So we'll talk to a group just to display to them how much we hold on to our suffering, how much our wound is our identity. We'll say to a group, now, everyone in this group is forgiven for everything they've ever done. And it's true for the people who are watching. You are forgiven for everything you have ever done, every miscreant act, every moment of foolishness, of forgetfulness, you're forgiven. And you'll see the group start to smile, and then you'll feel that hardness in the belly, that grimness in the jaw. You can see how people are so reluctant to relieve themselves, to release that suffering of their guilt. They start thinking, who are you to forgive me? They resist forgiveness at every level. We resist letting go of our pain. We think we are our pain. And then we bring that identity of I am my pain to a relationship. So you have twice as much pain instead of twice as much healing.
Mark Twain once said, forgiveness is the fragrance that a violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. That's very beautiful. And what I believe that means is forgiveness is something that is crucial in our self-care routine, regardless of what we're forgiving, regardless of the harm that was brought to us or others. So why is it that we hold on to so much pain? We have all this pain from things that we could have done better, things that we wish we would have done, wish we would have not done. And all this pain adds up and we hold it like bags of bricks. But why do we hold it? Why do we not just set it down? What is it about our pain that we have not learned enough from yet? Well, I'd like to give you a quote from Arnold Schwarzenegger. The pain that you hold is yours. There is not a single pain quite like it. Nobody else on God's green earth can feel this pain or have the indescribable feeling of pride you will have when you overcome it. This pain is not your curse. This pain is your privilege. Very good point. Our pain is not just our own. We're not the only ones who have to deal with our pain. We live in an interconnected world. Our pain shows up in our relationships. Friends, family, loved ones, colleagues, you name it. Our pain cannot truly be hidden as much as we think it can. So trying to hold on to this pain does not serve us. It is not part of our human potential. We should learn how to set the pain down.